Good morning, good morning, morning. It is Monday with the Moors.
Good morning.
Anniversary edition.
Today is not our anniversary.
It is the anniversary week, so which makes it an anniversary edition.
Right.
I mean, that's reality.
Okay. All right. So, good morning. Today is Monday, and I'm here with a cup. See, by the time you all see me, I've already had at least a half a cup, but I finished a full cup, which means that right now I'm going to disappear for a couple of seconds, and I'm going to go get my coffee because, good morning, Olivia, Terrence did not get the set ready. So the set is supposed to have the coffee.
Because she wait too long. This was one of her Monday mornings where that she was kind of on the slow side, and then of course want to blame us as to why she's late. Morning, Liv.
Good morning, Nathaniel. I was in place, but the coffee, the second cup was not in place.
Oh God!
So excuse me.
My cup is ready. My cup overflowing.
You see how that works?
My cup overflowing.
Why is there coffee in his cup and not coffee in my cup? I find this very interesting. This is good morning, Nathaniel. This is concerning. So now I'll be right back. Then he's gonna try to tell me.
Let me go get this because I'm not gonna hear the end of this because that's
no. I'll go get it.
No.
Okay. Well, while
she going, yeah. That was the whole plan the whole time. Please. Go on.
Yes. So I get to take this. I'm doing this totally by myself right now.
Lord.
You see that? Somebody did like. That's very good. You see how that works? That's what's supposed to happen. Make a mistake, and you have them corrected.
Really?
This is so funny. I'm on Monday morning with the Moors right now. I'm solo. So let's start this off. Today is Monday. It's April 15th. It's tax day. Let's not talk about that anniversary. We are so excited about it. 26 years of marriage. Here comes the coffee. Dun, dun, dun. Now, let's start the show.
You could start it with
Let's start the show.
Well, this is beneficial because, Matt, those benefits, of course, that's
all right. All of my coffee and tea drinkers, hold up your beverage and let's do one for the Moors. 26 and more.
26 and more. That's right. I got my Yoda cup this morning. I am a Jedi Master. I'm a Star Wars fan.
Yeah. Okay.
You will love this.
So today, I know where we stopped off. Right. He went to my parents' house.
Oh yeah. How we get to celebrate this week?
How do we get to celebrate this week? We got to get to the part where you were vomiting.
Oh, so
wait. What about the time you stopped traffic?
Oh God, we ain't got time for that. Come on, let's go. Jeez.
Which story do y'all want to hear about first? Put it in the chat box.
Look here.
You want to hear? You want to hear about the parent visit, the vomit,
or the traffic? We talked about the parent visit.
We didn't talk about what happened when I went to the house.
Oh,
the
Lord.
Parent visit, the drama, the parent, the traffic, or when you threw up.
You are so dramatic.
Which one you want to hear about, Libby Bell?
You mean you gonna let her choose that one?
Right.
Oh my God. I hope you already logged off. You're gonna see it later. Unbelievable. Oh, and they talk about, let me think about this.
Right. Which one of y'all want to hear about?
Oh my God.
Oh, the parent visit.
Liv, you let. Oh my God. Tion for real. Oh my God. I was expecting the brothers at least to kind of back me up with some other
y'all about the parent visit.
My God. Y'all are so wrong.
So remember the last time I had already started screaming at work.
Kings. Y'all supposed to let me go.
I was screaming at work. I was already screaming at work. I was scared. And he went to my mom and dad, didn't say anything, and did it. Oh, then the thing was, they said, very sorry.
You ain't sorry.
You ain't sorry. Really sorry.
Diana, Et tu, daughter, et tu.
Come on, we got to move on so people can hear the good stuff. There's nothing like telling your own good gossip. Your own good gossip is when you're talking
gossip about perspective.
Right. So let me tell you. He calls me from work, and I already told y'all how I was screaming and carrying on and giving a lot of drama. And they were like, she believes in prayer, trying to revive me. So
thanks, Dion.
What ended up happening, he says, your mom and dad told me to come and pick you up. I'm not a break.
Because keep in mind now, when they asked me if she knew that I was doing this, I told them no, she had no idea.
I had no idea. So I'm nervous, and the hospital was in Charleston, and I lived with my parents, and we lived in Mount Pleasant. Mm-hmm. So we lived in Snowden. And gosh, that was over a 20-minute drive. So I'm just like in panic because he's coming to pick me up, and now we have to go back. And this is my lunch break. And so my supervisor, she knew we were dating, and she was like, I'm going to pray for you. Jenny was like, I'm going to pray for you.
I kind of gave Jenny the heads up on what I was doing. So she was like, okay, Terrence.
No, you guys, listen to this part. I worked in the radiology department. It was so bad. Jenny we all knew each other because we worked third shift. Oh, a couple of orderlies. Like, she had them wheel me out.
Yeah, she was so dramatic, and some things hadn't changed yet.
She had me wheel out in the wheelchair to go outside and wait for them.
What is? Because it was scary. I didn't know what was going on.
All right, so finally, Gangster comes and picks me up. I didn't even talk to him in the car. I just didn't even handle the conversation.
How could you go to my parents' house and not tell me? I don't believe you.
I was like, I hate you. I hate you. How you hate me? We're getting married. I'm like, I'm not marrying you. Honestly, I couldn't believe he did that. So we get over there. I'm like, oh my God. We got this. You just got to see the look on my mom's face. You know, Karen was there. My sister was there. She's just,
because she's Madam Scary with her parents. I mean,
it's just water back her. Like, whatever, I already knew type of thing. She don't care. She's just like, let's get on. So, you know what? And then they were like, their main thing was, Cheryl, why didn't you tell us how serious it was? And I'm going to tell you, this is so deep right here. And I learned what it was. And why didn't you tell me? Why couldn't you just trust us with this? And it's because when I grew up in such structure, I didn't know. I was afraid to tell the truth. That's the best way I could say it. I was just afraid to come out with how I feel and what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And as a grown woman in my 20s, I should have done better, known better, but I did not grow out of that. And I actually brought that into our marriage. It was something that came up in the counseling. It was something that even in certain periodic years of counseling, we've gone through counseling in our marriage. And I just, it was a fault in the friendship, and it was a fault in the friendship, and then it ended up being trouble in the marriage. In that. And one of the biggest things that Terrence and I say now to people is the fact that, we grew. You have to trust the person that you're in a relationship with. You have to trust them with the truth.
And that didn't happen overnight.
And that didn't happen overnight, but it was something that if you don't deal with it, it really comes to the forefront of being an issue. So at the end of the whole thing, their big thing was number one. Number two, okay, he has a daughter. There was tribulation and there was turmoil around that.
Right.
That involved his parents, and they were very involved in her raising, and very, communicated all the time with her mom. Mm-hmm. And it was just an there was a lot of uncertainty.
Right.
And in that uncertainty, even so, Terrence knew what he wanted, and it just didn't take a lot. He just had his mind made up.
Right.
But it was such strong uncertainty around everything that was going on in that particular time. And if you kind of look at your adult life now, and the greatest of uncertainty, God graced us, and you mature into understanding. And that's what happened with us. And this is the funny part, right? So they go through this question. The whole thing is serious. I already told you my parents are strict. These people, we're not engaged. He's just asking, you know what they're going to ask? My mama, well, when's the wedding?
No,
like, can't we just get past the fact that we're just having a transparent moment? She's already got me jumping the broom. I'm like, wait, let's just go through this. And maybe now that everybody knows there was a certain freedom and lifting. And I think in that, bye, Josh.
Bye, Josh.
And I think in that, you just kind of
Mr.
go
City
through.
Year. Love you,
Josh just want to be on our show.
Love you. Have a good day.
So in that, there was just a certain freedom in our friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And that truth, that transparency just brought that freedom in the friendship
mm-hmm.
and in our relationship and where we were going. But we
Nate says bye, Josh.
and then in that there ended up being more tribulation and turmoil and question because
mm-hmm.
you have this kid, nobody knows the full scope story
right.
of what was going on and the understanding with him and the mom. And okay, so where did, on his side of the family, who was she and where did she come from? Not knowing that I've been there, when
because I keep my life private. I really do. Even, my siblings know a lot more than my parents, but even this part, I didn't fully. I think probably the only one who really kind of got it about my relationship with Cheryl which is the craziest thing, was my youngest sibling, which was my brother, and he kind of got it, which was kind of weird, and he really understood exactly why I did what I did, the decisions that I made, and why I kind of didn't reveal a whole lot, and a lot of it was because. This whole transition, I have a daughter, and the mother was involved, but not quite involved. But it was just that whole transition that wasn't clear. But as Cheryl said, only me and the mother know exactly how that turbulence was going and dealing with that. And she knew that by that time, she knew that I was involved with Cheryl. So that's a whole different. And that type of relationship knows that that's never calm waters.
Right. And, when you ask about the situation with the parents, our parents, when we were engaged, my parents were
after the engagement.
After
this is after I already got that straightened up with the parents.
Right. So it goes where we're not engaged, but we're on a public platform, and that's a whole different thing with a friendship. You may have somebody that's very close, but when it comes to a public place, you have to realize that there's a different dynamic that happens, and there's a different infiltration of people's opinions, mm-hmm. their ideas, their understanding. So keeping it on the low end where very few people knew was a safe place. And sometimes you have to do that when you're in the middle of a relationship that's developing. Don't do it because there's turbulence. Don't do it because that we didn't have any. I wouldn't call it any drama surrounding the baby. It was more of, at that particular time, or even now, it was the idea of a blended family and coming out of traditional elements of we grew up with people who married because of situations and circumstances and not because of the commitment. And that's the key thing. You don't want to get yourself engaged in a situation. Don't commit because of circumstance, because it's not a commitment. What it becomes is an obligation.
Right.
And you're doing it because you feel obligated. And obligation is not the glue that holds any commitment together. And I had to grow into that in the entire time that I am, I would say, in love with him, but not loving him enough to marry him. He was there way before I got there. Way before I got there. I was outside the hall, and my dad was like, "You sure you want to do this?" I said, "I don't know, because we go home." I mean, you know, it's kind of like a little conversation going out there.
You already at the wedding.
I was at the wedding, like thinking, you know, I know what I believe God is saying, but what do I believe? Maybe I need to think about this. But knowing that when you see the future in front of you, and that it's not going to be all great days. But again, you don't do things, and you're not, you know, nothing, no relationship, nothing, whether it's your job, your education, you know, your family, your friends, the person that you know, are close to, if it's out of obligation, it won't sustain the challenges. It won't sustain difficulties, misunderstandings, things that require forgiveness. It just won't. It's when it becomes obligated, or when it becomes, I'm getting old, let me just go ahead. Mm-hmm. Obligations, options, last resort. This is my last resort. Never see
my last chance.
Right. People in our life should not have to be prioritized. People should have purpose. And we tend to place them in priority. Or we put them where we have options, or it's like we're shopping around for the best deal, best bargain. And that's how some people run their lives. And you simply can't do that, because we learn, you know, what we do cannot be isolated. It's truly, you know, everything affects other people. It affects our family, our values. And so when it became where everyone knew, you know, people were easily, you know, I had to take the notch of, oh, I'm breaking up something, and I knew I was not breaking up nothing. It would never exist. And I knew the backstory.
Right.
And I knew what was going on. And in that, we had to be strong enough to withstand the gossip. We had to be in the opinions and the ideas and the perspectives of what it looked like and what it was. And
I had to own some of that narrative too, because like I said, I was very private about the situation, because I was already at a point where that I didn't feel like any drama, whether it's from family or friends. And like I said, only a few people knew about the situation, including my roommate. He was like, "Man, Cheryl, you know that's the pastor's daughter." You know,
yeah, so. He knew my dad. He knew my family. My family was huge in my community. Like, you know,
her dad is like a good towering, probably 7-8 inches more taller than I am, and he ain't no Tiny Tim.
And his brothers.
Oh my God, these guys, like, you know, mafia type people. Like, and Cheryl, of course, is their baby. So it's like anything that if you look at it wrong, it's like there's going to be a contract that, you know,
they do background checks in their own way.
And Harley drivers and, you know, riders and clubs and everything. But anyway, you know, I was very, the controlling of the narrative as well as keeping private was also safe for us in our relationship. But at the same time, it was a hindrance in moving forward. So when, you know, it really became public, you know, one of the first things was, and I've never had to deal with this, was, okay, well, what about your daughter? What about your daughter? And, you know, I'm like, what about her? You know, I already, you know, the situation with me and the mother, you know, that's a wrap. You know, I've had multiple conversations with her about, you know, exactly where things were. However she's going to react, she's going to react. I didn't care. My whole focus was making sure that my Katasha was fine, and that was the thing. And the fact that she knew about it.
Something about that though, Terrence, because one of the injustice or the due diligence in when you are a parent, a young parent, and you have your family supporting you in your parenthood and in raising your child, because they took the helm. Mm-hmm. I would say we've had conversations where you want to say that's your life, but you don't own it anymore.
Right. Exactly.
Because you're in a support system.
And my parents were heavily helping me.
Not helping, they were doing.
Yeah.
All of it. And
80-90% of it. I'm still in school and working.
Okay, you said 90%. Give them more than that. But I would say you have to transition. You can't cut
I didn't see it at the time.
Off. You know, at some point, they're invested. And I think that's what we do in families. We don't realize the investment in the contributions. So whether it's I'm picking up at XYZ, you may think it's my life and you feel like you're owning that, but you don't. And, you know, this is what we tell people. We don't teach it, but we share the journey of respect the contributions and the support systems that you have, because it's not fair to them to try to figure out where you're at. It's not fair to them. And that's what was happening more on Terrence's side. He left them in the dark of what he deemed. He put boundaries that weren't reality.
Right.
They weren't real, because you can't have a child and say, oh, help me with my child, help me do this, and then turn around and then say, but this is my private part of my life. But the child is in all parts of that.
Right.
And in that, you know, being adult enough to have that, mature enough to take that perspective. So a lot of turbulence was unnecessary.
And I wasn't there. I was very, I was
like,
there.
I've moved on, that's it. And it's like, moved on from what? Like, you can't just say, I've moved on.
Right.
Everybody is moving with you.
And I didn't take that into account.
Because
because it was so much turbulence, where I was then, and pretty much kind of where I am right now, is like, if there's a lot of BS involved in it, I just like, you know what, if I don't have the tolerance for it, I've never had the tolerance for it. How I handled the no tolerance part was probably the immature part, but I still have no tolerance for stuff like that. And, you know, and that's the way I looked at it, is like, you know, you all don't understand exactly where I am. I've taken this thing on, you know, the drama, the mama drama, baby mama drama, but those are things that me and the mother were dealing with, and you get it, but everybody else don't get it, and those who are very involved. And the fact that, you know, for on my end, this was my my parents' first grandchild, so it's even more vested, more emotions, more of everything on that part. And then I'm the first child too, so all of that is involved. So it's a lot.
Understanding the heart of grandparents and understanding that they raised their children, and now here you come.
Right. And
you have now graciously interrupted whatever vision and plan, because your parents love you so much. And, you know, on both sides, you know, so mine becomes step grandparents.
Right.
And so it was just we did not transition and communicate that was, and you have to be, you know, the maturity of parenting is communicating to all parties and to all those who are invested, and to respect their investments. And they're not running your life, they're not ruining. But if I've given my heart and a lot of my time and dedication and support and sacrifice, and then you tell me this, I'm grown and this is my business, then, but this is also your business and responsibility.
Exactly.
You've built an
unrealistic expectations.
Thank you. Expectations, and those boundaries are not real. And I think sometimes we build barriers and boundaries with the wrong people that have our support, because they're not saying what we want, they're not doing what we want. And in the long run, you know, you ending up, because that support system is going to be your ride or die.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you just can't say this is my life when you don't want to hear the other side, because in that, it also helps filter out your feelings and really helps you build your own foundation of what's the truth in you. Not realizing what's the truth in you comes in when you're protecting what you want instead of learning the lessons. Right. Sometimes we build these barriers. I don't want to hear it. I'm done with that, because we don't want any thing that comes against it. It's not coming against it, but the challenge will strengthen you. If there is no challenge, there is no opportunity to really build a stronger bridge and to really build a greater understanding. I look at so many different cultures and the net that we have right now, Terrence, going on in the world with blended and intergenerational homes. Absolutely. Where there are homes with multiple generations living in it. God is centering us back to family and friendship values, because the more we've obtained and the more liberty that has been extended, the less loyalty and commitment that we have seen start to emerge out of all over the globe. And it's a centering where we need one another. We need our parents. You need your friends. You
need a very strong support system.
And blocking people from your life is not helping you to build a future.
Right.
And it's not helping to build your family. And we have to think about how you allow those things then to come inside of your own children, because then they pick that up.
Right.
And they start doing that too. And that's,
you have to recognize that when they do.
You have to recognize that. And our kids are huge on family and relationships. And I feel like, not so much wasted time, but there's closing of gaps and understanding, and cut some of that time by just, communicating and just being transparent and truthful about where you are. And so it ended up being a rocky start, I would say.
Very much so.
Very much so. Very much so. A rocky start, but it was a God start. It was a God-called situation, and God matured us in that for reasons. There were things that could have been avoided if there were more understanding. But at the time, and all that getting understanding, we understand it better now. So we share that truth. We share that.
So you don't make those mistakes.
So you don't make those mistakes and those assumptions. Absolutely. Certainly. Treasure those support systems that you have, and not thinking that they're trying to run your life and they're trying to control you, but more so, except me with you.
Yeah, I still had some parental control because my mama's name is Bach.
Right, control you, but really coaching and guiding and cheering you on. What sometimes looks to us like control is our cheerleader, is our person that says, "I've been there, don't you do that?" Mm-hmm. And it's by the words of our testimony that we're able to move and forward. Yeah.
That again, from my end, with my personality and everything like that, is I've always been kind of like the independent, stubborn one in the family that you really can't tell me too much.
Bro, tell yourself what you are, bro.
And
those things.
Yeah, and see, they kind of, and like I said before, they kind of knew about Cheryl, but not how deep it was. Especially with my parents. But one of the things was after I finally popped the question to Cheryl, and had this great presentation, how we did that with the kneeling and by the colonial pond,
right? We had this water park we would go to at lunch all the time and sit there in the evenings. It was a beautiful I was going to get this ring. So when the box
I already had that talk with the parents.
I had another date in my mind. I just knew this was a game, and I was like, I threw it to go in the pond. Mm-hmm. I think you caught it.
Yeah. I was like, well, she cocked back, but ready to throw it away. I'm like, woman, what are you doing?
Because I was like, you getting ready to play another game. This is not funny, Terrence. He goes,
because I pranked her a lot, so
Yeah, he was like the prankster.
But after Pop's question, she accepted, and it was like really, really cool. And like I knew she was going to do it, going to accept it because I took her from a doctor. Sip my coffee, but I digress. But the thing was, after that, I told my parents after the fact of asking the question, after Cheryl accepted, I tell my parents, oh, here's the thing that made it so bad, and then we have to wrap it up. Even just telling this is I regret it. I regret how I did this. God.
Say it on live again. Somebody give me heart.
I regret, even with things like this.
Oh my God.
All right, so
did you ever repent to me for that?
Dang, I had nothing to do with you though. All right, so see what had happened was my parent. I think both of them. God. My parents were out of town. Mom was in. Mom. Yeah, my mom was out of town. She was in Philly.
Went back to work.
Yeah, and that's right because he was working out at I think it was in Atlanta, in Georgia.
God.
So I after we the whole next day, right? I called Mom in Philly, and I said, Mom.
No, she wasn't in Philly. She was in California.
No, she was.
Yes, she was.
Which was in California?
Visiting a friend.
Oh yeah.
You don't even
oh gosh. Oh yeah.
The story right.
Oh yeah, I do. It was out of town. She was out of town. Anyway.
No, you told her before she left.
No, I didn't.
You're gonna have like a
No, I didn't. I know the story because I was on the phone. I told her, okay, I know how to call. You know what? You do too much. Listen, I know. I call on the phone, right? So I said, Mom, guess what? You are going to have a daughter-in-law. And what do you mean? Well, I asked Cheryl to marry me. What? What do you mean you asked her to marry you? I said, Mom, I popped the question. When did all this happen? Why are you telling me this right now? Why are you telling me while I'm out of town? Why at all I get an ear full? I'm a grown behind man. Granted, I'm living in my mama's house because I have a child, but that's besides the story. I have to live under their rules. I mean, she goes plumb off.
Wait. We gotta stop the story. Did you see we're running up 30 minutes?
Oh God! But this is that. But my point is, because I wasn't even thinking about the whole entire how everything is interconnected, and it wasn't the fact that I was afraid of telling her before. It was like, because I know she's gonna go off. So my internal mechanism was, it's best to tell her while she's nowhere close, because I know how that's gonna be. And I know that while she's fuming, she's across the nation, and I know she's gonna be stewing. And I already knew that I was gonna get it when I got back. But it was like, but she was with her best friend. That's right, she was with her best friend. And I was like, thank God that she was with her best friend, because she was gonna be calming her down. She was gonna be calming her down, and that's what ended up happening. But again, in my perspective and in my world, this is what I was dealing with. Already in my mind, this is a no-brainer, but it was. But again, when we're dealing with relationships and dealing with someone that we plan on making an eternal commitment to, even though I was sure and I knew exactly what I was doing, and I wasn't going to really let anyone make that determination as to exactly how that's going to go.
The process.
It's the process that I should have been much more wise about, and I didn't use wisdom in that. And that's just out of maturity.
You got to think about whether or not your decisions create casualties.
Right. You don't think about that.
Period. You don't think about it, but you should. You have to think about your decisions.
I would not have changed anything except letting them know. I would have still asked at the time. That wouldn't have changed. It's just
and that's interesting, because that becomes a thorn in our well, happy anniversary to us. It's 32 minutes and 47.
Oh my God, that's the longest.
This is the anniversary.
You got to
pre-anniversary edition.
2 more days.
Pre-anniversary.
2 more days with this wonderful woman.
Yes.
26 years, 30 years of knowledge. Love this girl. Love this woman. This mama, this queen. Best thing I've ever had in my life. Absolutely. After God and Jesus. Amen.
Aww.
All right, we got to get out of here. We are so far behind. And
Thanks for hanging with us.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We appreciate that. Let it be a blessing. Share this with everyone. Thanks, Lionel. Thanks, Gus. I appreciate it. Thanks, Doris. Appreciate that. Share this with someone. It may be a blessing to them about relationships, and somebody might be in that in friendship. Somebody might be in that transition of, I'm really ready to take that next step. But how's my family going to deal with this? And just know that sometimes family is not always going to be ready for it. But if you know that you're ready and you're transparent and your family, and your partner's ready, just go for it and just stick by it.
We don't really realize and give enough consideration to those who are not
heavily supported,
but single parents and the emotions that come along with that.
Right.
I've not been a single parent, but I'm married to someone that was a single parent before we got married. And, we don't give enough time. I think they go under fire more than someone speaks into their future.
Right.
So anyway, to all the single parents, be encouraged this morning.
Absolutely.
And may God open doors for you, open up where connecting you to great friendships and great family relationships. Absolutely. And know that now, therefore, there is no condemnation unto you, but consideration to your future for you and for your seed. We pray responsibility. We pray integrity, honesty, and that you would not only forgive yourself, but to realize that it's an honor to be a parent. Everyone is not called to parenting. It's a privilege to parent.
It definitely is a privilege.
And God has found you worthy of that privilege. Maybe you did not like the entry. Maybe it's not in the best way, but you are privileged to be a parent. And so we pray to all singles today that God would bless you, that he would keep you. We decree and declare that the honor of heaven stay with you and with those that you have the charge to develop and to groom and to bring into citizenship, that they will be the future of our nations and that they would be the generation of change in Jesus' name. And Amen. You did that because you are a parent with purpose.
And, right? And again, especially from a male perspective, shout out to those guys who are become in commitment with women who have children that is not yours. Major shout outs, because a lot of times we don't get enough attention when we make that decision to take on somebody else's children. And shout out to the moms, the beautiful moms that come in with fathers who have, children, and they're willing to not replace the mom, but really be an additional support. And that is something that Cheryl has always been. She never tried to be the mom to Katasha. She's basically said she knows she's a stepmom and she knows that she is just an additional support. She never even tried to engage in saying that I'm a replacement. She knew where she was.
And I got that. Yeah, we got to go, but that's a whole thing that we have to address.
Just wanted to share that before we leave.
It's an anointing on my life to encourage single parents that I have kind of kept hidden and not embraced. And I'm at the point in my life where I've seen too much, go get your education. You are beautiful. You are amazing. You are strong. Yeah. And, I'll never forget Pastor Iris Johnson Brown prophesied that to me on my wedding day, and to intercede. You're called, you're going to be an intercessor to this child and to her mom.
And that's exactly what happened.
And that's exactly what happened, because you don't want there to be separation and you want a parent to remain in purpose. So I speak purpose to you, power to you, authority to you, that God would regulate your heart, and that you would reconcile all wrongfulness and come into the righteousness of who you are. We are out.
Oh my God. All right. You all have a fantastic and phenomenal week. God bless you. Take care. Enjoy your week. Love you. Peace. Love you.